Hello. It's been a minute. I have not posted a single video in. I haven't looked at the log, but I think it's literally been a year, so sorry about that. I have a toddler. I have been basically nonstop sick with something or another due to said toddler since July. Moved homes, as you can probably tell from the new background. I mean, still bookshelves, but new room. And yeah, just a lot going on in my life, so I have not had the time to post recreational reading related videos. But what I plan to do today is go through all the books that I've acquired in the last like 2.5, 3 months. There's a lot of them. There's over 20. Most of them were gifts from Christmas time, but a number of them I purchased. So just gonna get things started, kick things off, and then hopefully, if I have the sanity and time to do so, I will continue to post videos moving forward. But I make no promises. Also, I cannot figure out how to turn off the auto brightness adjustment on this new computer that I have, so I will figure that out hopefully one day in a future video, but today is not that day. So, sorry about that. Okay, first things first, I have Sin Eater by Megan Campisi, which I had purchased for an in-person book club that I participate in with my husband and some of our friends um, in the town that we live in. I have already completed that book, and I felt middling feelings about it. It's kind of vaguely historical fiction about a woman set in kind of a Tudor period England sort of setting who um, takes on the sins of the kind of like in a reconciliation way of soon to be dying people in her town because that is her punishment for a crime that she committed. So she will eat foods that are representative of the sins they committed and take on those sins as her own. So it has kind of a vaguely Christian connotation to it. But I only felt so about it, so I don't really want to go into that much detail about the synopsis. Next up, I purchased this one myself. This is Beloved by Toni Morrison. I read this in high school, and I use the word read loosely. I believe I used Cliff Notes and Spark Notes for quite a bit of it. I think that I just wasn't um, a mature enough reader to be able to understand the dialogue fully. A lot of this is written with kind of an AAVE dialect, if you will, to the American English, and I found it difficult to understand at the time. But Toni Morrison is such a lauded American writer that I would really love to read her works. This is the only one that I technically have read, if you can even call it that, but I want to read this, The Bluest Eye, Jazz, Sula, and a few others in the coming years. So what I plan to do, and I found this is very helpful for books that are written with an English dialect, is to read it and listen simultaneously so that I have the words written in front of me, but I can hear how the person is pronouncing it because that will help me. I am American, if you can't tell from my accent, but there are a billion American dialects, and this is not mine. So it's helpful for me to be able to understand this accent um, by seeing it written and hearing it at the same time. So hoping to get to that one this year. It's actually on my like kind of 2026 goals, which I'll post in another video. But allegedly, I will. Time will tell if that actually happens. But that is my plan. But that's one that I'm hoping to get to in the next few months. I have 3 books that I purchased from Barnes and Noble this month, or I guess January 2026, when I was doing a little bit of like retail therapy. The first is Bunny by Mona Awad. This is a fiction about a woman who is a university or like graduate English writing cohort student at a New England school, and then becomes kind of a new member of a clique that call them each other Bunny. And I think it kind of turns sinister from what I understand. Reviews on this from people that I trust as reviewers, I'm not talking like critical reviews, from presses or journals. I'm talking like other Goodreads or booktube reviewers that I follow and tend to agree with. The reviews are very mixed, and so I'm just interested in forming my own opinion on it. It's a pretty quick book. It looks like it's under 300 pages, so it shouldn't take me too long to read, assuming that it's as gripping as um, some of the comments I've seen suggest. So I'm looking forward to reading that this year. We also have, and this will be no surprise, this is a YouTube darling right now, Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. And this is about a man who gets stuck in an intergalactic game show. So it's kind of a sci-fi, but I think from what I've seen, and correct me in the comments if I'm incorrect here, the tone that it's written in seems to have some humor to it. It sounds like it'll be similar to A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Also have not read that, but I plan to one day. I think I'll get to this one first since I own it. But in that kind of vein of, like, it's sci-fi, it has a futurism kind of quality to it, but it has a sense of humor that's very contemporary to today. So written sassily from what I've seen, and I think this will be a fun one. I've heard people are really just going headfirst into this series. I think currently there are either 7 or 8 books in that series. I'm only planning on this first one this year. But if I really enjoy it, maybe I'll pick up the rest in the coming months. And then I have The Night and the Moth. This is by Rachel Gillig. I'm technically in 3 in-person book clubs, although only 2 of them are currently active and like have meetings set up. This is one that a few of the women in my other in-person book club have read and enjoyed. One of my good friends here in town read this last year and was like, it's so good, you have to pick it up. And I have been in the market for a standalone fantasy or romantasy for a while. I am not sure if this is YA or adult. I'm assuming that it's adult just because the other books from this author that I have heard of have been adult romantasy or like fantasy romance. I'm not sure which it qualifies as. I think it's romantasy to, you know, if there is even a difference in those definitions. But again, kind of a quicker read, and because I want a standalone for that genre right now, I'm really eager to read this one. I am currently reading, and I'll talk about this in another video too, but I'm currently reading A Court of Mist and Fury, the second in the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. Which I picked up begrudgingly. I really didn't like the first book very much, but everyone's like, you have to read the second, get on with it. So I did. I'm liking this one a lot more, so I'll give them credit where credit's due. But I don't think I'm going to pick up the third one, like, immediately unless I end up being obsessed with the second half of the book, which is very possible. But if that's the case, I'll probably go to this one as my, like, next fantasy book before I dive back into any series that I'm reading. This is an acquisition, not a purchase. The Sweet Spot by Amy Hopel is a contemporary fiction. One divorce, one social media disaster, and one random baby. 3 unlikely friendships. Welcome to The Sweet Spot. I know literally nothing about this book. This was a book exchange book that I got from one of my book clubs for Christmas time. So it's not something that I'm like have any immediate plans for. I'm not even sure if I'm going to read it or if I'll donate it. I'm going to look into reviews first before I make any command decision on that, but this was something that I got from an in-person book club when we were doing a book exchange a couple months ago. Okay, next I have Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. This one is critically acclaimed and had kind of its moment on YouTube as well. It is about the ghost of the son of Abraham Lincoln. So Willie Lincoln was an 11-year-old son of Abraham and Mary Todd Lincoln, who passed at some point during the Civil War. I've literally only read like 20 pages, but it seems like it's during the war. February 1962. Yeah, the Civil War is less than 1 year old. But it's this sort of purgatory. So the bardo is a concept sort of similar to purgatory or Abraham's bosom is another term I've heard from kind of like early Catholic writings. In any case, it's sort of like he's neither here nor there not in heaven nor hell. He has kind of a spiritual presence on this earth as he's kind of figuring out where the afterlife will be for him, and observing. I think there are observations of um, Lincoln's presidency from the perspective of someone that doesn't fully understand the gravity of the time. This book was a Man Booker Prize winner, and I've heard great things about it. And this is another one that I'm hoping to do like an audio and physical book, like physical copy tandem read, because the people that are reading on the audiobook include Nick Offerman, who was Ron in, what's the last name? I'm totally forgetting right now. But from Parks and Rec. What is this character's name? I'm totally blanking. But if you'll know who Nick Offerman is if you've read or if you've watched Parks and Rec. But his voice is one of the main audiobook voices, and then it's kind of a cast of characters. So I've heard that the audiobook is excellent, but from my first few minutes of listening to it, I think it will make more sense for me to do a tandem read, so that's why I picked up a physical copy. The next one, this is kind of a funny backstory, is Catherine or the Bower, not sure, by Jane Austen, which is a itty bitty novella. It's also with The Beautiful Cassandra, another kind of short story of hers. It's only like 3 or 4 pages long. I'd never heard of this. I purchased this from Blackwell's, which is a UK online bookseller and also physical bookstore, but they do have a great website with free shipping to the United States. So I use that whenever I'm looking for a UK edition, and this copy was just so beautiful and delicate and feminine, and it has end pages that I really am not going to be able to show because my camera quality is crap, but it's these teensy little tulip flowers. I have a joke with my husband. I donate blood a few times a year, like basically every quarter, and the American Red Cross, when you donate, usually will send you an e-gift card of like 10 or 20 bucks depending on what their like whatever promotion is, and I would do it without that incentive anyways, but I will usually save up those gift cards and buy something on Blackwell's or Book Outlet, and I call it my blood money, because I'm donating blood to get that gift card. And that was my blood money purchase for the fourth quarter of 2025. So it just kind of makes me laugh every time I think about it, because I apparently am very full of myself and find myself funny. Okay, next, from the sort of Eve purchased or acquired is, or last of this stack, is the Art and Society in Italy, 1350 to 1500. This is an Oxford history of art book, which, if you know, you know. Oxford, Thames and Hudson, Phaedon are some of the best publishers of art historical books because they tend to have full page images more often than not, especially with their more recent publications. Those images are in color. This is an older publication. I mean, the pages are a little bit yellowed. This is probably published in the 90s. Yeah, first published in 97. I don't know when this particular edition was printed, but I assume around then, just from the way the pages look. I have an art history degree from undergrad, so I have my bachelor's in that, and though I don't work in that field in any way anymore, I did for a time, and I still love and appreciate fine art, and do my best to continue with kind of a personal study when I have a moment. So this book has, like I said, some full page images of the art that they are referencing. Here is a like tempera on panel image. You get the idea. And I will be traveling to Italy this spring with my husband and in-laws and his family, and so I thought it would be fun to pick up a book that encompasses a lot of Roman art from a time period that I enjoy. So 1350 to 1500 is basically like what, medieval into Renaissance Italian art, which is one of the best periods to study from that region. Okay, so that is section 1. Oh, by the way, if you can't tell from my new bookshelves here, basically like this top section here over is my husband's books, and then like here over is mine. And all of the books that I'm talking about today were living up until a few moments ago on this shelf that is currently empty. So if you're wondering why that looks the way that it does, that is why. Okay, stack number 2 is books that were gifted to me for Christmas by my family, so my sister and my parents, as well as my husband. So this first one, Klimt, is a Gustav Klimt art history book. I actually think he got this at TJ Maxx because we saw it there. This is a Prestel press, which I don't think I own any books by them besides this one, but again, some really great colorful plates of art by Gustav Klimt, and it is, I don't want this video to get flagged, so I'm going to try to find some images. They're not of the female form unclothed. Let me see. There are very few, because that was kind of his MO. I'm struggling, actually. It's just never ending. Okay, well, let me just, okay, here. There's some really gorgeous images of women, beautiful patterns, beautiful drawings. This is mostly a book of paintings, like his oil paintings, but it does include text as well. So I wouldn't call this his full oeuvre. It is also mostly image, not, did I just say this? I'm sorry. Mostly image, not text, but some detailed images kind of zoomed in of some of his works. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to reading this. It's kind of a coffee table book, but you know, for if you don't know a lot about one author, just being able to kind of flip through is great. And I have a young son who should not be around coffee table books right now, just because he's very interested in flipping pages and tearing them, but unintentionally, thankfully. But as a child, like child, not toddler age, like 5+, I remember having some coffee table books of fine art from the Art Institute of Chicago that my mom had purchased on a trip there, you know, in the like late 90s, early 2000s, and I just remember flipping through those as a little girl and loving them, and I'm looking forward to the day when I can set these out and just have him be able to flip through books of art, you know, and see the colors and be inspired when he's doing his own little drawings and paintings, and just, you know, being able to appreciate art, even if that's not a hobby of his, to just be able to see how other people have, you know, perfected the craft is really cool and something that I value. So I'm looking forward to the day that those can be safely out in our home and be something he can flip through and like look at mom and dad's books. Okay. Next is St. Ignatius of Loyola, Personal Writings. This is the Penguin Black Spine Classics edition. I went to a Jesuit university, and though I am not a practicer of any religion at this point, I did grow up Catholic, and he is a saint who lived a very interesting life, and had a lot of writings on various topics, but this is kind of the selected works, organized thematically from what I've seen from my flip through. So like on marriage, and it'll be various excerpts of letters and essays that he wrote on that topic, and then we'll move on to another subject. So I think that's an interesting way to collect someone's writings, especially, I mean, he was born in the 16th century, if I'm not mistaken, so I don't know how much of it will be translated and then also modernized. I think it's mostly just translated, so it'll be a slow go for me, a slow reading. I failed to bring down a book from my bedroom that I'm realizing as I'm talking about this I should have included, but I did also receive a Word on Fire, which is a Catholic press, a Word on Fire Bible. They're printing the Bible in like the Christian Bible, or Catholic Bible I should specify, because it's different from various Protestant editions, but the Catholic Bible in like collections of books. So the Pentateuch is the first one. I also have down here the Gospels and another section. and I don't remember which one. But they're like collection. It's not just the biblical writings, but also interpretations from various Catholic thinkers and just other Christian thinkers, and then art, fine art images that are based on those biblical stories. So, for example, if you're reading about um, the excuse me, Old Testament, you're looking in the Pentateuch book, the binding of the Pentateuch, it will have an image of like the triptych of Adam and Eve's story from Genesis, and it'll have a whole page devoted to the image and a whole page devoted to kind of the art historical interpretation of that image in the section that talks about Genesis. So kind of cool, and for someone that studied art history and a lot of Catholic art, just based on my educational background, I'm looking forward to reading that in kind of a scholarly way. Um, Next, I have 5 books by F. Scott Fitzgerald, noted American author. These were published by Alma Press. Ooh, I'm realizing one of these has gunk on them. Gross. Alma Classics is I think British, I'm not positive, but I think a British press, or at least these editions are I was only able to find on Blackwell's. These were gifted to me by my parents, so I already owned The Great Gatsby, Tender as the Night, The Last Tycoon, Flappers and Philosophers, and This Side of Paradise. And then they gifted me this Christmas Image on the Heart and Other Stories. Oh, and I should specify the reason I love these editions is they're gilded, which is perfect for F. Scott Fitzgerald. Given the time period he wrote in, the Pat Hobby stories, silver gilding. And I love these Art Deco kind of poster looking drawings. All the Sad Young Men, The Love Boat and Other Stories, and finally Basil and Josephine. Or Basil and Josephine, if you want to say it with an American accent, but I'm assuming, given the time period, I'm thinking it's probably pronounced Basil for this name. But anyways, yeah, so these are all mostly published in the 1910s and 20s. So just adding to that collection of F. Scott Fitzgerald stories. And I will say, I have only read The Great Gatsby, so it's about time that I start picking up some more. I think I'll only keep the books of his that I love. I really liked The Great Gatsby when I read it, also in high school. But I don't think I'm gonna keep all, like, what, 9 or 10 of these paperback editions if I don't love them. So I'm gonna read them. If I like it, I'll keep it. If I don't, I'll donate it. And I'll probably end up with less than 9 or 10 when it's all said and done and I've read them all. But for now, I just want to keep them as kind of a collection on my shelves, and then I will purge as I go if I don't care for them. The next 2 books were gifted to me by my big sister. An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir, which is the start of a series. I think it's a series and not a trilogy. This is, it has some interesting images on I don't know if you could even call that end pages, because it's actually like the first page. This is what I would think of as end pages, but whatever. But it's the same image on the spine, so that'll be very pretty. If I do end up liking this and picking up more, I'll try to get it in the same edition, because I think that the spines will create one large image. I've heard great things about this. One of my favorite YouTubers, Emily in the Books, I think is what her channel is called, read that recently and enjoyed it. And I've just, like I said, been looking more into fantasy. I read a lot of fantasy, but I'm trying to expand my fantasy from just epic adult fantasies into kind of other subgenres of it too. And then again from my sister, I have Portrait of a Woman, which is by Bridget Quinn. This is a Chronicle Books edition, and this one is so cool. Let me just kind of show you some like page headers. So this is an art historical nonfiction talking about the life of, and pardon me, I'm not a French speaker, but Adelaide Labille Girard. Girard? who is one of the first famous French artists, or first French female artists to be recognized publicly. She was one of the first admitted to the French Academy in Paris, which was like the salon artists of the day. Um, so a born in the 18th century, but I think her like kind of time of fame is late 18th century, early 19th century. But she was a portraitist of the royal court, and I think she and Elizabeth Vigée-Lebrun, if that's her name, were like the two famous royal salon female artists. So it's kind of a feminist work too. Like how does a shopkeeper's daughter become a royal portraitist and one of the few women recognized in the salon in a very male artist dominated time period. That'll be a hoot to read for me. And then the last two gifts, again from my parents, were two books that were on my list. These are parenting books. So we have Hunter Gather Parent: What Ancient Cultures Can Teach Us About the Lost Art of Raising Happy, Helpful Little Humans. This is by Micheline Duclef. And then we have The Montessori Toddler by Simone Davies. So turn a regular home into a Montessori home and become a more mindful, attentive, and easygoing parent. I won't dive into the whys of those, but I'm just, looking for more parenting related books. Okay. And then, last but not least, I have a stack that was gifted to me by my in-laws. They do this really cool kind of like book basket every year. So everyone, my husband, myself, my sister-in-law, and my son, and he's a toddler, so like his books are little and relatively affordable, but we all get a book basket every year. Like that's our main, like most exciting gift. And we give her a list of like books that we're interested in reading, and then she picks from those the ones that she wants to buy. I say she. Technically, it's a gift from both my in-laws, but my mother-in-law does the shopping. Okay, so first is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a bestseller from a few years ago. I want to say like 2019-ish, 2020. Let me see, 2020. That I don't think it needs any introduction at this point. It has a sort of like contemporary or like 20th century Gothic kind of vibe to it, as the name would suggest. I have not, despite my education having a large tone of Spanish language and culture in it, I have not read a lot of Latin American artists since I graduated from school, and I'm doing my best this year to read more broadly. And so this Mexican Gothic and 100 Years of Solitude are kind of the two books that I'm looking to, dive into first, among others, but those are the ones that I'm most looking forward to getting to this year. That's the plan at this point. We have The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I think this is like Wuthering Heights retelling for ice dancing Olympics. I know very little about it, but everyone that has read it has loved it, and I trust the opinions of those people that shared those positive reviews, so I'm really looking forward to this one. We have Babel by R.F. Kuang. I don't think this requires an introduction either. This is such a popular story right now, and it was a YouTube darling in like 2023, whenever it came out, 2024-ish. 2022. Oh, that was surprising to me. I read Yellowface earlier this year, gave it 5 stars, obsessed, very into it. We'll talk about that ad nauseum at some other point in my life, but this one is a fantasy that I think I will really enjoy. As far as I know, it's a standalone and will be a standalone, which I'm very on board with. I plan to get to this prior to the Poppy War trilogy, but that is also on my list. I just don't own that physically, and this one I own and have been looking forward to for quite some time. So that will be a 2025, what year is it? 2026 read for sure. Next we have Stephen King, 11/22 63. Can I read? No. This was a New York Times bestseller for like years, maybe at this point. Um, this is a huge tome, kind of historical fiction, fantasy, sci-fi, all combined. The premise is what would happen if someone went back in time and saved JFK from assassination, or attempted to. I don't know if he does that successfully or not. I have never read a Stephen King. I'm a big old scaredy cat. I am scared of my own shadow. When I'm the last person downstairs in my home before bed, I will turn off the light and sprint up those stairs. I'm that kind of person. So, like, Stephen King, conceptually, I would love to read, but there are very few books of his that I think I could get through and not, like, have a problem for months. So, I would like to read some of his, like, more thrillery, less, like, spooky, books before I actually attempt something that's truly horror or even horror adjacent. And from what I understand, this is not even really horror adjacent. Like, it probably has its moments of thrilling or jump scares or whatever, but because it's more historical fiction, I think this will be easier to accomplish for me. But this, Under the Dome, and The Stand, maybe Carrie, just because it's so campy, are probably the ones that I would be most interested in reading. I would love to read The Shining, or not The Shining, I would love to read Misery. The Shining I'm not really actually that interested in. I would love to read Misery, and I know what happens that makes it so gross and horror-like, but I just don't know if I can stomach that, so we'll see. I have not even watched that movie, but I've seen enough, like, clips of it that, yeah, I don't think I'll ever be able to get to that, but we'll see. Maybe I will have a change of tune and I will somehow seek horror novels one day. But for now, this is, I think, all I can accomplish. I fully intend to read that book by the end of the year. Last book in this very long video, my bad, is Our Infinite Fates. This is by Laura Stephen. Again, a book that I've heard a lot about on YouTube. This is, I think, a YA kind of supernatural fantasy. The way that it is summarized here is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I've owned but have not read, meets This Is How You Lose the Time War, in this fantastical and epic love story that defies death as two souls reincarnate through the centuries. Will Smith had a movie with Charlize Theron that reminds me of this premise, but this is like the YA version. Was it Hitchcock? If you know, you know. Put it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about, but that's what this reminds me of, but like a YA version. This book is crazy beautiful, and I bought it at Half Price Books for like $10. It also has gilded edges, which is very cool. So I got it basically half off the retail. It is fully new. Like, I don't think anyone touched this before I purchased it. Like, there's just no way. Like, the pages still had that kind of sprayed edge stuck together thing happening, so if anyone owned it, they did not read it. And now I own it, so I'm looking forward to this one. This is very little. I think this would be like a, you know, if I have the time, it could be a weekend read for me. Just over 300 pages, and I think I will fly through it because the font is also crazy small. Let me compare this to a Penguin Black Spine, just because I don't think my camera will fully capture how big this font is. So this is Penguin Black Spine, and then this is the, oh lord, the YA. Yeah, I haven't read a YA in a hot minute, and I forget how sometimes even the like publication style makes it a quick read too. Anyways, that's all for me today. I will hopefully, I make no promises, but hopefully get you more videos talking about books in the coming weeks. If not, the coming months, but time will tell on that front. Please share which of these you think I should pick up first, because I am frankly eager to read, like actually very excited to read probably like 15 of these, and I don't know where to begin, so let me know what you think, and I will hopefully be back for another video in the coming weeks. Thanks everyone, bye!